Hello, inclusive leaders. Welcome to Lead at Any Level Live. I am your host, Amy C. Wanninger, the Inclusion Catalyst. Now, I have some very exciting stuff to talk about today and some very, very relevant and critical things for you as inclusive leaders to know about what's important in your organization right now, whether you're paying attention to it or not, what's going to matter and what's going to help you win in terms of longevity, sustainability, and building your competitive advantage right now while all your competitors are running scared. And so before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm here and what I do. Every Monday, or almost every Monday at least, at noon Eastern, I go live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube to share essential insights for inclusive leaders. Sometimes these are skills, sometimes they're mindset shifts that we need to make as leaders, but my goal is to help equip you, the inclusive leader, with what you need to succeed right now in your workplace, in the economy, in the market, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And a little about me, this is hard to say out loud, everyone. Some of you follow me and you know this, but for those of you who are new, I've been told I have to say this kind of stuff out loud occasionally. So here I go. I am actually a globally recognized expert in inclusive leadership. I have held sessions with clients and audiences on all 7 continents, including Antarctica. I do love saying that part because it's hard for me even to believe. I have been named to top 100 HR, learning and development, and DEI influencer lists for 4 years in a row. And I've had clients that are in the Fortune 50 and all the way down to little tiny organizations in your community that you've probably never even heard of. So I've worked with people and organizations from all different stripes all around the world. And so what I want to talk to you about today is why right now is the time that you need to be more focused on inclusive leadership, on building your employer brand, on keeping your employer brand promise than ever before. Here's why. Everybody keeps talking about this R word. It's an economic R word that I don't like to repeat because I think if we say it too many times, it appears like Candyman. So we're not going to go there. We're not going to use that word. But a lot of folks are reporting kind of an economic slowdown or a spending slowdown in their organizations. People are reporting that, well, we're holding off, our budget is tightening up, or we're not able to make any big moves on our talent strategy until Q3 or even Q4. Here's what I want to tell you. Please don't wait, because right now, the companies that you're competing with for top talent are scared. They're scared to invest. They're laying off. They're worried about, quarterly numbers, and they're not thinking long term. And now is the time for you as an inclusive leader to think for the long term about your talent pipeline, your leadership pipeline, your employee retention strategy, and how you're going to keep people and keep them engaged right now at this point in time. And the reason this is critical is because of all the economic uncertainty. Folks are getting a little nervous in their roles. And when people are nervous about the longevity of their role, they do not perform as well. And I can say this from personal experience. I used to work in an organization that would reorg every 18 months or so. And about every 18 months, you could see people kind of getting anxious about what was the reorg going to look like. And all the productivity that people lost, including me, I'm sad to admit, to wondering and pontificating and, kind of strategizing and thinking about what's the next move if my job goes away. You don't want people in that place that work for you. You want them working. You want them engaged. You want them confident that their job is going to be there tomorrow so that they can do their best work, because people can't work in a climate of fear. And again, I know this firsthand from personal experience. And so I want to make sure that you understand. Oops, I don't know what I just did. Something happened. I want to make sure that you know that folks cannot work in a climate of fear. So if people are worried about their jobs, if you're talking about budget cuts and spending cuts, and we're not going to be able to do the conferences we used to do and all of that, people notice and they start to worry. What you can do instead is double down on why your employees matter to you, what they bring to the table, why they are so valuable, what they individually bring to the team, why their skills are so important and so necessary right now in this economy. And the more you can double down on that, the more you can communicate that to people about why they are so valuable to you personally, to your team, to your organization, the more comfortable they're going to feel, the less afraid they're going to feel, and the more productive and honestly effective they're going to be in their roles. Now, I think last week the data came out about productivity was starting to slip. And, that may be a factor, but a lot of that has to do with fear. People do not work as well when they are afraid. Now, that's about keeping your current talent, because I guarantee you some of your competitors are out there looking right now for your people. They're looking to poach your people. They are looking to make offers when, if your office does a return to office mandate, there's some virtual company somewhere that's saying, hey, let's go get their people. So you want to be very careful about that. You want to make sure that all of the decisions you make relative to the people that work for you are made in concert with and in consideration of those folks. Because what will happen is when unemployment's this low and there are a lot of open positions, people will leave. They will leave for more money. They will leave for a better environment. They will leave for more stability. And what happens when they leave is they take all of their institutional knowledge with them, and they take all of their talent and all of their skills and all of their creativity with them. And in some cases, they may even take other employees with them. So right now is the time to tell folks how much they mean to you. And one way you can tell them how much they mean to you is to show them. And the way you show them is by investing in them. Help them get the training they need, not just to be better at their current jobs, but to upskill for the next level. Invest in them in terms of their leadership skills so they are ready. When you are in a place to do succession planning, you have your high potential employees ready to take the reins as a new manager, as a middle manager for the first time, as a senior leader for the first time. Be sure that you're telling your folks that are high potential that you believe in them, and then back that up with an investment to prove it. This is critical because if you right now are losing talent, you may not get them back when conditions change. In fact, the companies that right now are doing this the best, I believe, are the ones that are going to win in the long term, because they've got employees that are actively engaged, that are going to be more loyal, that are going to work under less fear. They're going to be more productive, more creative, able to take better risks than the companies that are not getting this right at this moment in time. This is a critical moment for your talent. Please don't waste it. And if you are looking to invest in your talent, if you are looking for coaching for your employees, maybe your employees are struggling and they need a coach, or maybe they are performing very well and you want to coach them into the next level of performance. Now is the time to engage those coaches. I don't do a lot of coaching personally. I do a lot more on the advisory, assessment, and training side, but I do have coaches in my network, and I do a little bit of strengths-based coaching that I would love to bring to your organization, because we know that when people are focused in on their strengths instead of their deficits, instead of their shortcomings or their gaps, or however you want to call it, when people are focused on their strengths, they are very engaged, and they do their best work, and they make the work environment better even for the people around them. They also lose less time to time off. There are fewer mental health days. They experience less illness overall, because when their stress levels are lower, their bodies are better able to deal with day to day, and immune systems are stronger, and people just don't feel as beaten down. So if that's something that you're looking for, coaching, let me know. Let me put a link in the comments real quick, or in the banner. And I want to thank Vera for saying good points in the comments. Let me know, actually, if you're watching this, where you are. If you're watching it #live or #replay, let me know that so I can respond. But I appreciate everybody who views this live, especially so that I know that I'm not alone out here talking about this stuff. And I'm sure that there are more of you that just haven't chimed in yet. But let me know in the comments or in the chat, and hopefully I'll be able to see them on the tool that I'm using to simulcast everywhere. But beyond coaching, there are other ways that you can show your employees how much they mean to you. You can invest in training. Training is critical right now because the world is still changing, believe it or not, it's always going to be changing. And we want to make sure that the folks on our teams have the right skills, not just for today, but for their jobs tomorrow, because their job will not be the same in 6 months as it is now. Even if they stay in the same role, even if they're doing the same work, the way they do that work will change. Who they work with, who they work for, how they deliver, all of that. Everything around the work that they do will change, even if the work stays the same. And then finally, we want to make sure that we are building leadership capacity everywhere in our organization. One of the founding principles of my company, Lead at Any Level, is that leaders can be anywhere and should be everywhere in your organization. And the fact is, they are there, whether you recognize them or not, whether you give them a title or not, whether you bring them on board as leaders or not. There are people leading right now in your organization, and you can help them lead in the direction you want them to lead by training them, giving them the right tools, the right skills, the right words to use, or you can let them figure it out for themselves, which may not be aligned with the direction that you want them to go. So, not every high potential employee is born to be an inclusive leader, but they can be trained for that. And so we want to make sure that you're giving them the training that they need, and that it's consistent across the team. So it's not just people are going out to YouTube and finding a video here or there, but you're really giving them some consistent verbiage, vocabulary, and direction around how leadership works in your organization. If that's something you would like some help with, I would love to help with that. You can find my calendar at workwithlaal.com, and we can talk about what you've done in the past, what you're using today for training and development, and how we might be able to customize an approach to fit your needs for your leaders at different levels of your organization. And then finally, I want to encourage you right now to get some sentiment analysis from your employees. Not just, would you recommend this is a great place to work, but really find out who in your organization right at this minute, who feels included, who doesn't, and why. Because once you find out that information, you will be able to target training, initiatives, communications, internal marketing campaigns, policy changes, all of the things that you do around your talent management strategy will be very intentional once you know right now who feels included, who doesn't, and why. So if you are looking for any of those services or just advisory services to get you started or help you with an initiative, I have so many things I can offer you, but I want to hear from you on what you're looking for, what your goals are, what you've tried in the past. And we can talk about all of that if you book time with me at workwithlaal.com. Now, whether you want to work together or not, you'll want to tune in this Thursday at noon Eastern on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Take your pick. Wherever you're watching this video, you'll be able to watch the Including You video podcast. This week on the Including You podcast, I have Janessa Mondestin. She is a director at In Tulsa, and we're going to talk about economic development, community development, and how that overlaps with efforts for more inclusion in the community and more inclusion in workplaces. You will not want to miss this episode. It's fantastic. And it will be streaming live on Thursday at noon Eastern, wherever you're watching this video. You can also catch it on Friday as part of the Living Corporate podcast. So wherever you get your podcasts, do a search for Living Corporate. I don't know if they'll tell you this, but I will. Living Corporate is in the top 1% of all podcasts globally. Out of 2.6, 2.8 million podcasts in the world, Living Corporate is in the top 1%. So you want to make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to Living Corporate, and you'll be able to catch Including You as the Friday show in that series. That's all I have for you this week. I would love to hear from you again in the comments. What are you seeing in your organizations in terms of investment in your talent or communication out to the people that you rely on to get your job done? And let me know if you're watching this live or replay and what questions you have for me. I will be back next Monday at noon Eastern for another edition of Lead at Any Level Live. Have a great week.